United States.
In fact, as we speak, Justice Department attorneys are going head-to-head with lawyers from TikTok inside the Supreme Court over a law that will ban the app nationwide.
This morning, time running out for TikTok fans. The app appears to be on track to be banned in the U.S. this Sunday. The Supreme Court yesterday passed up a chance to intervene.
The White House is looking for ways to keep TikTok from going dark in the U.S.
Tik Tok Panic is setting in.
Looks like that ban is going into effect, and I'm probably going to lose my 3 cents per video.
The clock is ticking on TikTok as the ban is set to go into effect on Sunday. But incoming President Trump may be looking for ways to block the shutdown.
There's no more downloads, no trending videos, no dances, no viral moments unless Elon Musk saves Gen Z's favorite app.
Showdown over TikTok. A federal ban could go into effect one day before President-elect Trump takes office.
With 170 million users, that's about half the country's population.
So, in a few days, TikTok is likely to be banned in the US. But before we actually figure out what may happen and what are some alternatives and how that can impact millions of people, let's stick a pin and try to figure out how do we get to this point in the first place? Who implemented the ban? Let's check this out.
Who proposed the ban?
This case is urgent, with the ban set to start in just a matter of days now. After arguments yesterday, it appears the Supreme Court will uphold the ban.
Owned by Chinese tech company ByteDance, the ubiquitous social network TikTok was met with a negative reception in 2020 by then-President Donald Trump. Trump's successor, Joe Biden, seemingly agreed with Trump. Hey, there's a first time for everything. Biden signed the No TikTok on Government Devices Act at the end of 2022, calling on ByteDance to sell TikTok to a U.S. firm or be banned entirely.
This country has never taken the step of shutting down a speech platform, much less such an important speech platform.
Subsequently, the U.S. House of Representatives passed the bipartisan Protecting Americans from Foreign Adversary-Controlled Applications Act in 2024, explicitly putting pressure on ByteDance to sell the platform by January 19, 2025. Curiously, Trump has since reversed his position, asking the Department of Justice for more time to negotiate a political solution before he retakes office.
So are we supposed to ignore the fact that the ultimate parent is in fact subject to doing intelligence work for the Chinese government?
Data privacy concerns.
It is not just about, potentially manipulating content as the hypo contemplated, but about a foreign adversary actually using the information that users provide to the platform in order to engage in kind of covert operations, potentially recruitment and espionage.
So as you guys can see, there are a lot of concerns when it comes to TikTok. Not necessarily the content, the dancing videos, but the ownership of the application itself. It's a Chinese company that actually owns the app, so there are concerns about privacy, data protection, and data sharing, particularly in light of the fact that over 170 million users are on the TikTok app.
Why is the U.S. government so worried about an app that most of us use for watching cat videos? Politicians fear that, because TikTok is owned by a Beijing-based parent company, it could serve as an efficient pipeline to illicitly send American users' data to the Chinese government. In addition, the government has expressed concern about the potential for Chinese disinformation campaigns to gain traction via TikTok, and potentially use that traction to commit election interference on American soil. Said Democratic Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, quote, "It's not hard to imagine how a platform that facilitates so much commerce, political discourse, and social debate could be covertly manipulated to serve the goals of an authoritarian regime."
Now that's really interesting, guys, because according to Google, I did a little bit of research and I actually saw an article that said, according to multiple reports, ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, is legally obligated to cooperate with Chinese intelligence gathering efforts due to China's national intelligence law, which requires all Chinese companies and citizens to assist with national intelligence work. This means that ByteDance technically could be potentially used to gather intelligence for China, although the extent of this practice is not publicly known and the company denies actively doing so. But there's always the possibility, especially since that's law under China's laws. But that said, let's keep things rolling.
As such, the act that President Biden signed into law would target places that TikTok can be downloaded from, like the Apple App Store and Google Play. These corporations could face heavy fines if the government feels that they aren't playing ball. User safety versus freedom of speech.
I think what the basis of this case is really about the content versus the ownership. The First Amendment does not apply to foreign ownership, even if the TikTok lawyers are saying that, yes, it applies to the American content creators. That's a different argument.
Meanwhile, TikTok has hardly been silent in fighting back against what it claims is the tyranny of the American government. Michael Hughes, a TikTok spokesman, said in a statement that the government's efforts to ban the social media platform constituted an attack on the free speech of U.S. citizens. Noel Francisco, a lawyer for TikTok, argued that the law zeroed in on, quote, the speech itself. This fear that Americans, even if fully informed, could be persuaded by Chinese misinformation. That, however, is a decision that the First Amendment leaves to the people.
Difference in kind from what we're talking about here, which is the 170 million Americans' access to their data and ability to manipulate the psychology and opinion of those Americans.
So as you guys can see, there's a little bit of concern when it comes to nefarious forces using this social media platform for nefarious acts. But keeping that in mind, there are tons of creators on the platform who use it for everyday use and to make a living on there. And we're going to have a look at what some of these creators have to say. But before we get into that, if you guys are getting value from this video, please do like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Those things help out a lot. Drop a comment down below and let us know what you think about this whole thing, and let's move on.
Carnegie and his wife Brianna. Videos like these, created by Roger Carnegie and his wife Brianna on the Raleigh Food Trap TikTok channel, have racked up millions of views, driving traffic to a slate of restaurants across the Triangle.
It's been an amazing benefit, not only to the businesses, but to people like you who are looking for those products.
That includes their own, the Yard Milkshake Bar in Seaboard Station.
So I'm here in Raleigh, North Carolina, and for me to get in the app where there's millions of users and see content that I'm 5 minutes away from it's a tool that I really feel we need.
But in just a few days, that avenue may no longer be available. Last year, lawmakers supported a ban of TikTok, which is owned by ByteDance, a Chinese company, citing national security and disinformation concerns.
Yeah, and there's millions and millions of people that use that, so they could be data harvesting, collecting biometrics on all the video content. You know, there's so much that can be done, and our government can't do anything about it.
So as you guys can see, a lot of the concerns that are cited have to do with data protection, privacy, and nefarious acts being conducted by third parties outside of the US. Now, the Supreme Court actually had a chance to delay this ban, and they passed. Let's check out why.
Morning time running out for TikTok fans. The app appears to be on track to be banned in the US this Sunday. The Supreme Court yesterday passed up a chance to intervene, and Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton has now blocked an attempt by Democrats to postpone the ban, saying there will be no extensions, no concessions, and no compromises for TikTok.
Now, what I found was actually pretty interesting is that Joe Biden signed into law certain bills and certain laws which related to TikTok.
Biden signed the No TikTok on Government Devices Act at the end of 2022. Calling on ByteDance to sell TikTok to a U.S. firm or be banned entirely.
Now, fast forward to 2025, they're actually trying to delay the implementation and saying that they would not impose fines on TikTok. Have a look at this.
The White House is looking for ways to keep TikTok from going dark in the U.S. That's according to 3 people familiar with the discussions happening now. They say the Biden administration is considering ways to keep the Chinese-owned app available if a ban goes into effect on Sunday. The Supreme Court has yet to rule on whether to uphold that ban, which has received bipartisan support. Lawyers for the popular app say the law violates the First Amendment. If the Biden administration does move forward with a plan to delay the ban, it would defer the issue to President-elect Donald Trump, who will be inaugurated on Monday.
That effectively the Biden administration will not enforce the fines on companies who do support TikTok on their apps, basically reversing the idea of a ban. What's your reaction, Congressman?
Well, my reaction is I'm waiting for the Supreme Court first to hand down its decisions.
But we know the Supreme Court decided that they're not going to delay the ban.
How the law is going to be handled by the courts, I expect it's going to be upheld. And then with regard to the Biden administration, my viewpoint is that ByteDance needs to pick up the phone and answer a call from any number of suitors and bidders for the company, and then seek an extension of the law, under the provisions of the law. that would be the easiest and cleanest way to proceed right now.
So as you guys can see, it makes a lot of sense for TikTok, the owner of TikTok ByteDance, to actually sell the company to a US-based company. That way, we avoid any of the issues, we avoid the ban, and that way everyone's happy. Now, there is talk that either Elon Musk or Mr. Beast or a whole host of suitors may actually come in at the last minute and try to save the day by purchasing TikTok. Check this out.
TikTok, it is facing a ban in the US. On January 19th, TikTok could go dark for 170 million Americans. No more downloads, no trending videos, no dances, no viral moments, unless Elon Musk ends up playing Messiah and saves Gen Z's favorite app. Finally, the US government gave TikTok an ultimatum: sell to a US-based entity or face a total ban. Those were the two choices. TikTok chose the ban, it refused to sell. But now, as the deadline draws closer, it may be having second thoughts. The buzz is that they're considering selling TikTok's US operations. Guess who might be in the buyer's seat? Elon Musk. The Tesla CEO is no stranger to the world of social media. In 2022, he bought Twitter for $44 billion. He soon rebranded it as X and flipped the script. Mr. Beast, the world's most popular YouTuber with around 340 million subscribers. Mr. Beast put up a post on X. He says he will buy TikTok before it gets banned. It sounds like wishful thinking at the moment, but where does it leave TikTok?
So a lot of this may be just pure speculation, people throwing their hat in the ring, but the truth is, if TikTok has no intent to sell, then the ban is going to happen. And like I mentioned, if this ban does come into play, millions of users will be affected. A lot of people will be effectively laid off because a lot of people actually generate an income and have a full-time living off of social media. So let's hear what some of the users had to say.
Thank God.
With the clock ticking on TikTok, panic is setting in.
Looks like that ban is going into effect, and I'm probably going to lose my 3 cents per video.
Two other Chinese social media apps, RedNote and Lemonade, have rocketed to the top of the charts, seeing a surge in so-called TikTok refugees.
Somebody told me about RedNote, and I dive into it right off the bat.
And we, myself included, downloaded an even more Chinese app.
It's all ahead of a decision from the U.S. Supreme Court, which will rule on whether to uphold a ban on the platform set to go into effect Sunday.
I think they'll do so on pretty narrow national security grounds.
But in the meantime, the clock is ticking on TikTok as the ban is set to go into effect on Sunday. But incoming President Trump may be looking for ways to block the shutdown. TikTok's CEO is actually going to attend the inauguration. What might that mean? Well, it's anybody's guess. But regardless, TikTok will not be the same, whether under new management or gone for good. Any disruption could hit the platform as well, especially what's called the TikTok Shop, along with the businesses that use it. And your next guest is the owner and founder of Canvas Beauty Brand, selling 1 million units total on TikTok on Black Friday, even surpassing 2 million in sales in one day. Stormy Steele, and we have confirmed that is indeed her real name.
Yes, it is.
But what would a TikTok shutdown mean for you, your brand, your employees, and, Huntsville, Alabama, where you're based?
To be honest, I feel like what's not being considered with the TikTok Shop ban is the morale on the American people, right? I feel like it will be totally against 170 plus million people's freedom of speech. And then on top of that, it'll directly impact their income in a significant way. Some people only find joy on TikTok Shop platform in the palm of their hands. So outside of just financially, we got to talk about the Americans' emotional stability. Some people rely on this heavily, and as for me, we've done 3 million in a single day. And not only just us, a lot of people are connected to our brand through affiliates. They make money off of this. So I feel like if TikTok Shop was to leave, I would personally consider it to be one of the greatest layoffs in American history.
So what would you do? I mean, thank you for giving us a sense of what the financials are, because we always feel awkward asking people, how much money do you make? But we're trying to give us a sense of what's at stake. So now that you know, because we all thought a few weeks ago, maybe this isn't going to happen, and now it's okay, maybe it is. So what's the backup plan?
So I feel like no one really knows. A lot of people right now are already omni-channel, so we're on other platforms. But there's nothing like the power of the TikTok algorithm, and there's nothing like what TikTok has been able to do with TikTok Shop.
Now that's really interesting, guys. She mentions alternatives. It's pretty much similar to YouTubers. A lot of YouTubers out here would know that we rely heavily on affiliates. So it's a different way for a lot of people in the industry to actually generate an income and actually live off of that income. Now, in situations where you face censorship on the platform or a situations such as this one with TikTok where the app might be banned outright, a lot of people obviously look for alternatives. So alternatives to YouTube, a lot of people head on to Rumble, Vimeo, and there was kind of buzz back in the day. But the truth is, it takes a lot of time for those apps to really build up to the level that either TikTok was at or YouTube is currently at. So even though there is another app that you may be able to use, the traction that you may get on that platform may be completely different and a lot less. Now, what I find really funny is that some of the alternatives to TikTok that a lot of people are flocking to, apps such as RedNote and Lemonade, these apps are also owned by Chinese companies. So is it that a few years down the line, we're going to end up in the same situation that we're currently in, where the app has gotten so big that there are security concerns? Or is it just going to be sold to a US company? Heck, who knows? But a lot of people on TikTok are looking for alternatives.
TikTok has been a cultural phenomenon in the US with 170 million users. That's about half the country's population, but its future hangs in the balance. Fearing a looming ban, many TikTok users are moving to Xiaohongshu, or RedNote in English.
App's name is Xiaohongshu. That's its original name. If you translate it, it's RedNote. So it really is a super Chinese app. And what I've heard is that a lot of people actually pop onto these apps and there's everything in Chinese. Everything is literally in Mandarin. There's barely any English. So it goes to show, are we just spinning top in mud and substituting one thing for another thing when it's the exact same?
Surge of new downloads, topping Apple's US App Store this week. In just 2 days, over 700,000 Americans joined the platform.
So far, we have begged our representatives, please show us what this security issue is and why ByteDance is more guilty than everybody else. If Chinese owned and run and accessed apps are a problem, why was RedNote even on? It's an even more Chinese app than the Chinese app we're all worried about right now.
Literally.
Xiaohongshu is China's answer to Instagram, which is banned in that country. People share photos, videos, and advice on travel, skincare, and more. It's also becoming a space for cultural exchange between Americans and Chinese users.
Since yesterday, we have seen many new posts in English calling themselves the TikTok refugees, and the reaction from the Chinese users have been mixed. Some believe this is a great way the Chinese culture get to a global audience, while some worries this will be a cultural invasion and it might have an impact on the censorship.
Platform's rise comes as TikTok faces a January 19 deadline to cut ties with its Chinese parent company, ByteDance, shut down its US operations. RedNote, currently valued at $17 billion, sees this as a chance to expand globally.
RedNote is already valued at $17 billion, and obviously they see this as a chance to expand globally, expand internationally. Over 2 days, you guys have had 1 million new users. So obviously you guys see a lot of benefit and a lot of profit in it. Out goes TikTok, in comes RedNote. Both of them are Chinese companies. Are you guys seeing the link here? Is this making any sense to you guys? Drop it in the comments and let me know. So when D-Day rolls around, the day that the app is set to be banned, what's actually going to happen? Let's have a look at that.
Lawyer says the app will go dark. But what you think about what that means, there's 2 ways this law works. One is that app stores like Apple's and Google Play won't allow new downloads or software updates, so it will eventually get glitchy and not really work for you. The second way is that internet companies might have to stop storing TikTok's data. If that does happen, you really wouldn't be able to see an updated feed, and you probably wouldn't be able to post either.
But there are some technical details here that are loopholes for people, Elizabeth.
Exactly. Really important to know that you can keep posting, trying to use TikTok. You are not a criminal. This is not illegal for users. The tech companies are the ones that could face billions in dollars in fines if they do keep trying to allow those downloads or those updates. We already seeing some users on TikTok post about workarounds like virtual private networks, VPNs. This is a way that you can basically mask your location. You might have done this in the past if you're in another country, try to access a US show or a website, go through another website. And ultimately what could happen here is we could see the Supreme Court put an administrative hold on this law. That could essentially buy a couple weeks, maybe months, for the Trump administration to find another solution. It's vowing to try to save this app somehow.
One Biden administration official told NBC that Americans shouldn't expect that the app suddenly be banned on Sunday, and that the administration is weighing options to make the app available to users beyond Sunday. But sources say that users attempting to open the app will be redirected to a website with information about the ban. And one TikTok lawyer told the Supreme Court last week that the app essentially goes dark. This all started back in April with a US law that mandated that ByteDance, which is TikTok's Chinese parent company, either divest from the app or be faced with the ban that goes into effect January 19th. Now, January 19th is also the day before President-elect Donald Trump gets sworn into office, and he is reportedly considering ways to delay the ban by 60 to 90 days, but it's not legally clear if he's able to do so.
So, we may have a delay on the ban by 30, 60, 90 days. No one knows absolutely for sure whether that's going to happen or not, but I want to find out what you guys think. Do you guys think that this is fair? Do you guys think that this is something that makes sense? And are you guys going to be hopping off of TikTok and heading over to something like Rednote or Lemonade? Drop it in the comments and let me know what you guys think about that. And the crazy laws are not only happening here on TikTok, but also in the 2A community. So if you guys are legal firearm owners and you want to find out more about what's happening in the 2A community, then check this video out because it's coming up right now.